Years and years and years ago, said Daddy, there lived an emperor in India whose name was Asoka. He was the first man, in fact, the first person, I believe, to start a hospital for the cure of sick animals. He lived so many years ago that the way we know of much that was done in his time is by reading what the men who wrote histories have to tell us. Most of the good deeds which he did were written upon the rocks, way, way back, years and years and years ago. And upon these rocks were also written rules and directions for his people. Among many things which he did, in addition to building hospitals for animals, was to build hospitals for human beings and to see that they were looked after. He also had wells dug so people could drink when they were traveling through the country. He ordered the planting of trees so people could rest under their shade, and he spent all his time thinking how he could help others. But he was not the first person who tried to help others. He was the first one, though, to think of a hospital for animals, and throughout the time he was emperor he saw that the hospitals for animals were kept in good condition. Animals with thorns in their feet were taken to the hospital. The horrid thorns would be taken out and soft, cooling liniment or ointment poured on, and the animal would feel all right once more. Animals with sore throats, animals with colds, animals with broken bones and sprained ankles, all animals who needed attention and care were looked after in the hospitals founded by Asoka. If animals had written histories as well as human beings, they would have written a great deal about Asoka and the wonderful things he did. But even though they could not write, for future people and future animals, of Asoka's goodness, and even though they couldn't thank him with words, they were grateful, as only animals can be grateful, very deeply, dumbly grateful. But the historians, the men who wrote about those times, speak of the goodness of Asoka and of how the people loved him. They talk about birds who go south for the winter and about butterflies and other little creatures who sleep all winter, said the Orangeade, but my family might just as well not exist in the winter time. The same is true of me, too, said the lemonade as well as the iced tea. But at the same time your families do exist because there are lemons and oranges and tea all the year around, said a little gnome. And sometimes your families are about in warmer climates just as the birds are in warmer climates in the winter. But it isn't strange that you aren't wanted in the winter when it is cold, for no one wants a cool drink of orangeade or of lemonade, and no one wants a glass of iced tea when there is a snowstorm and when the wind is blowing outside the windows. You can understand that, can't you? Asked the gnome. Yes, I understand that now, said the Orangeade, and I don't feel unhappy anymore. Ah, here come the tennis players. We must be ready for them. I am going to tell you this evening, said Daddy, about the climbing. Perch family before they came to the big aquarium. Far, far away in Africa they lived in a river, and were a very happy family. But one day the river seemed to be drying up so fast that they couldn't find enough water to live in. They had noticed it getting worse and worse every day for some time, and they had been hoping for rain. But this day it was so bad that they knew something would have to be done. Well, even if the river dries up, it won't bother us, said Granddaddy Climbing Perch, not in the very least. And he gave a huge spatter with his tail. All the other fishes looked very much worried and their fins trembled with fear. Why, Granddaddy Climbing Perch, said the old mother Climbing Perch, do you want all the children to die? I should say not, replied Granddaddy Climbing Perch angrily. The very idea of your saying such a thing. I am surprised, yes, surprised, and very much annoyed. Granddaddy Climbing Perch's fins wiggled with temper. I'm sorry, said old mother Climbing Perch meekly, but I didn't just understand what you said such a thing for, and why you don't seem to be worried that the river is drying up. You always used to love the children and tell them stories. I do still love them, and I shall tell them a true story now of an adventure which will happen to us. Come around me, children. And Granddaddy Climbing Perch flopped his tail very hard. All the fishes swam over by Granddaddy Climbing Perch and looked at him out of their queer, shiny eyes. Now, children, he began, years and years and years ago, our great-great-great-grandfathers were caught just like this in a river which had dried up. They decided that the only thing for them to do was to try to make up their minds to die, when the Fairy Queen happened along. I will name you the Climbing Perch, she said, and you will be able to go from pond to pond in the dry seasons. See if it is not so. She waved her wand and disappeared, and sure enough all the family climbed out of the river, which was dry, and with their gills, which are like saws, they scrambled to the next pond, where there was water. We will do the same. All the Climbing Perch family now knew the meaning of their family name, and off they started, led by Granddaddy Climbing Perch. They got to the next pond where there was water, but they hadn't been there for more than a week when that pond dried up, too, and they had to be off again. Would you believe it? But they had to change ponds 5 times before they could stay and make a real home. And they are the ones I saw today. Of all the fishes in the aquarium they are the proudest because they had had such traveled lives, and they are very happy. Then, too, after all their hard work, they are glad to be in a big tank which looks as if it would never go dry. I have been insulted, said the onion. Tell me what the insult was, said the carrot. Someone was going to help the cook get the dinner. Someone who knew little about cooking but less about how to fix vegetables, and this person said she would peel the onions. She began to peel me first as though I were a potato, and then she kept on peeling until the cook suddenly noticed what she was doing and said, "Stop peeling that poor onion. It's all good to eat, and we will just cut it up in smaller pieces for frying." Imagine, said the onion, to hear of any one so ignorant about onions. That was said before you were brought out, Mr. Carrot. I was insulted, to think of not being understood better than that. Oh, it is sad, it is insulting, not to be understood. Cheer up, said the carrot. It is not an insult when a creature is ignorant. You should just feel sorry for ignorance, and feel proud and happy that you were saved in time so you could do your part when the great meeting takes place between you and Mr. Beefsteak tonight at the big dinner. That's so, said the onion, I will cheer up. It has made me feel better to talk to you. I don't feel insulted anymore. A little girl named Harriet, said Daddy, was sitting on the front porch of her home one day when a hurdy-gurdy came along. An old man was wheeling the hurdy-gurdy, and on top of it sat a monkey with a red jacket and red cap. His jacket had brass buttons on it, and on either side were two little pockets which jingled with pennies. Then the old man played a tune on his hurdy-gurdy and the monkey danced. He took off his cap and Harriet took out all the pennies in her purse, she had had 7, and gave them to the monkey. Into one pocket he put 4 pennies and into the other 3. Then he took off his cap for more, but Harriet said, I have no more pennies. The monkey did not seem to understand at first, but when Harriet shook her head and showed him her empty purse, he leaned his head on one side and pretended to cry. He took out a handkerchief from his pocket and he put it to his eyes as if to wipe the tears away. But soon, when the old man played another tune, the monkey began to dance around and seemed quite as happy as before, and the old man played yet again. But by this time the monkey was tired, so what do you think he did? What? Exclaimed the children. He saw that opposite where Harriet was sitting, there was a rocking chair, just like Harriet's. He gave a jump and up he got into the chair. Then twisting his tail around him, he began to rock and rock, back and forth, and how he did seem to enjoy it. As they were sitting there opposite each other, Harriet and the monkey, along came Harriet's mother. She was surprised to see Harriet's guest, and the monkey got right out of the chair and made a low bow. He began to do his tricks again, and he took the pennies Harriet's mother gave him. He also wept when she didn't give him any more. How'd you like to own a fine monkey like that? Asked the old man. Oh mother, could I? Asked Harriet. Well, he is a cunning little fellow, agreed her mother, but what will Daddy say? Oh, Daddy will think he is great fun, said Harriet quickly, for she saw that her mother was really thinking of letting her keep the monkey. Is he a nice, quiet monkey? Asked her mother. Show how quiet you are, said the old man. And the monkey laid down as if he were sound asleep. I think we'll keep him, said Harriet's mother, and Harriet bounded up and down with joy. The monkey copied her and jumped up and down too, for he had taken a great liking to Harriet, and he made a polite bow to his former master, as he handed him some money from Harriet's mother. Let me tell you, said Grandfather Corn, the ways of summer corn. All the ears of corn listened, which, of course, they could do quite perfectly, as they were all ears. I have grown very quickly. I am very big and full grown, continued Grandfather Corn. I wanted to be like this, for in every corn field someone must give this word of advice to little ears of corn. Advice, advice, said the ears of corn. We are going to hear advice. That's it, my bright little ears. I would say my bright little eyes if I could, but of course I can't. Too bad, said the little ears. But never mind, we are not without ears, even if we haven't eyes and noses and chins. Eyes and noses and chins are very silly and quite useless, said Grandfather Corn. Certainly for us at any rate, said the little ears. But for the advice, said Grandfather Corn. When it gets cold, don't let anyone encourage you into growing. We will give the people our fine selves as long as the warm weather remains, but not when it is cold. We're famous for being summer corn, and we will never let it be said of us that we were so coarse and hardened that we could stand the chilly days. And the little ears nestled in their silken beds and said they would certainly not try to grow in the cold weather, for they knew they would hate anything that wasn't like summer warmth. The worker bees, said Daddy, carry little pollen baskets and they bring in the pollen to the young. They also bring in some sweetened water which the little ones like very much indeed. Now and again on a very hot day a number of bees will stand at the front door of their hive and will fan in some of the outside air so as to cool the ones who must be within the hive. They always see that the hive is kept very, very clean. Oh, how neat they are! They have to guard against their enemy, the wax moth, too. The wax moth is a tiny gray moth miller who likes to get into the hive and feed upon the combs and the pollen stored away in the honeybee's cells. If they are allowed there they will build tunnels through the combs and destroy them. The Italian bees, little gentle creatures, are fine about defending themselves, even doing better work than the usual honeybees. The bees must go to many flowers in order to get all the honey that they need. They love clover, oh, how they love clover, which shows that they're not in the least bit snobbish, for clover grows wild in the fields, of course. The bees love buckwheat fields, and from many, many flowers and a great deal of gathered nectar and pollen, they get the amount of honey they feel they need for themselves for the time being, and to store for the future. They always work, they hardly ever play. Always they are thinking of the day which may come when they won't have such an easy time gathering honey, and though they may seem to have all they need they think it is well to be thrifty and to be ready for a rainy day. How the bees love the sweet things of life, the flowers, the honey, the warmth, the summertime. But though they love the sweet things of life, they are never through working. Right through their little lives they work. They work too hard. They don't stop to enjoy their hard work as creatures should. Even when they have all the nourishment they need they go on searching for more for the storehouse. They do not flit about and enjoy life like the beautiful butterflies. No, they must always work. They've had no help from other creatures. They've never destroyed lives of other creatures in order to get food. Though they flit among all flowers they never become snobbish and love only the flowers which cost a lot to grow. They love clover, free clover, best of all. A little girl named Melly, said Daddy, was having her portrait painted. The lady who was painting her portrait one day said to her, "Now, you are such a good girl, and you keep so still while I am painting a lovely picture of you to give to your mother, that I wonder if there is anything you would like me to paint for you?" The little girl's face was in smiles at once. "Oh yes," she cried, "I'd like to have my dolly painted." And when Melly brought her doll the next time the lady said to herself, "I think I will change the picture of Melly and have her holding her doll, as she is now." And how differently Melly looked. No longer was she the little girl sitting stiffly on a chair, looking now and again at the window and longing to be out with her friends. She was not being good because she thought she should, but because she was happy having Allie with her. She looked like a real little girl, and the lady was delighted. For before she had seemed unlike a child. She had looked so sad. "Yes," said the lady to herself, "I will certainly have Melly holding the doll." And then she did a painting of Allie, and it looked just like her. How delighted Melly was. She showed the picture of Allie to her, but of course Allie never even smiled. She looked at it just as she looked at everything else. "You dear, precious dolly," said Melly, "you don't care whether you have a painting of your dear old face or not. But it's a great comfort to your mother." The lady was so pleased at the picture of Melly, and she was proud of herself that she had thought of having Melly bring her doll. When Melly's mother saw the painting she said, "Whatever made you think of having her hold Allie?" "Why, that is just like my dear little girl, just the way we always see her. How glad I am." And the lady was happy, for she had made the real mother and the make-believe so pleased. "Yes, I was very, very ill," said the elm tree. "I didn't know whether I would ever get well or not. I had all sorts of things the matter with me. My wood was cracking and I was generally in bad shape. They talked about me, people did, and they said it would be a great pity to cut me down. They said I gave shade in the hot summer. They said I was very beautiful and they said I should be saved if possible. A lot of very clever tree doctors were sent for and they said that I could be saved. Oh, how happy that made me." And Grandfather Elm swayed in the breeze and smiled. All the bad wood which had started in to hurt me was taken away. Then they fixed up the places where the old wood had been so it would keep in good condition in the future. I had steel straps put upon me in certain places to keep me from blowing over and fixed in such a way that I could sway and laugh and blow naturally with the rest of you. But when they said I was all right, how I did rejoice. I was so happy, for I am a well elm now. There was a queer cry from outside the lighthouse, on the window ledge, and Teeny, the little daughter of the lighthouse keeper, looked out. There, against the shutter was a seagull and another was by him. The window ledge was very wide but they did not seem to be there from choice. Then, Teeny remembered what a storm there had been the night before, and she thought that these seagulls must have been hurt. Teeny opened the window and took the seagulls inside. They were very young and they had been hurt. They had not been hurt very badly, but they had been very much frightened. All day Teeny looked after the seagulls. They grew quite tame, and as if they knew that Teeny was a little girl of the sea. It was late in the afternoon when Teeny remembered that she had planned to have a magic lantern show. This will be fine, said Teeny to herself. I have two of my audience. Usually I have to be audience and stage manager, too. Sometimes Daddy and Mother come, but they are busy at this time, and usually I am alone. Of course, I have lots of companions in the pictures that I show, and I leave them on the sheet which shows the pictures for a long time and talk to them. Teeny took a great cushion and she put the seagulls upon it. Tomorrow you will be strong enough to be set free, she told them. I know you hate to be prisoners when you are used to flying over the great sea. The seagulls paid no attention to the magic lantern show, which disappointed Teeny a little. But still, they did make an audience, and that was quite a treat.